Illinois lawmakers have discovered a new hobby, breaking spending records. And as hobbies go, this one is expensive, really expensive, which is why Springfield is once again rummaging through your pockets like a teenager who thinks your wallet is the family ATM. The latest plan? Scrap the flat income tax, the constitutional guardrail that prevents lawmakers from tax hunting, and replace it with a trust us, we won't abuse this progressive tax structure. Retirees, family farms, small businesses all suddenly find themselves in the crosshairs. If this sounds familiar, it's because this isn't their first rodeo. And it isn't even the first time this decade. Former Governor Pat Quinn has come back for a sequel, raving the same script the voters already rejected and rejected overwhelmingly. Back in 2020, the so called Fair Tax Amendment promised rainbows, unicorns, and property tax relief. Illinois read the fine print and issued a firm no thank you. The final vote tally was unmistakable. Almost 3.1 million no votes, just short of 2.7 million yes votes, a 53 to 47% defeat. Over 5.7 million Illinoisans weighed in, and the majority said, "We see what you're trying to do," and they were right to reject it. Because when lawmakers get the power to tax one group differently from another, they don't stop, they just expand. First, it's millionaires, which sounds politically safe until you realize that in Springfield, millionaire is code for family farms and small businesses, not the guy in the penthouse suite. That's not speculation, that's math. In 2020, Pritzker's version of the progressive tax would have slapped over 100,000 small businesses with a 47% tax hike. But here's a real giveaway. In 2020, State Treasurer Michael Frerichs openly admitted the progressive tax was the first step toward taxing retirees. And at the time, all 32 states with progressive tax structures were already taxing 401ks, IRAs, Social Security, or pensions. So, yes, retirees were absolutely the next target. That's why voters buried the amendment before it could bury them. But instead of learning the lesson, lawmakers are back for a second bite. But why? Because Illinois doesn't have a revenue problem, it has a spending problem, a see money, spend money problem. A federal COVID cash was meant to be temporary, but we made it permanent kind of a problem. Since 2020, Illinois' budget has grown nearly 40% and is on track to grow by another $7 billion by 2029. For those keeping score, that's a 55% increase in 10 years and nearly $11 billion in projected deficits. That's not an economic plan, that's a slow motion train wreck looking for more track. Federal money meant for a rainy day became the baseline for every day. General fund spending jumped more than $15 billion and is projected to climb another $7 billion by 2029, a 55% increase in just 10 years. And here's the punchline. Illinois is budgeted to collect $55 billion in revenue this year, an astonishing nearly 40% jump since 2020. Did it come from a booming growth? Absolutely not. It came from at least 50 tax hikes under Governor Pritzker. And yet, Illinois still ranks 45th in economic growth nationally and dead last in the Midwest. It's like feeding someone a high calorie diet and wondering why they're still lethargic. Because the problem isn't calories, it's health. Meanwhile, Illinois already sports some of the most punitive taxes in America. Corporate income tax at 9.5%, third highest in the nation. Gas tax at 84 cents a gallon, second highest in the nation. Property tax at almost 2%, highest in the nation. And sales tax upwards of 10.5% in and around Chicago. And yes, almost 421,000 residents have fled the state since 2020. From July of 23 through June of 24, Illinois lost a total of almost 57,000 residents to other states. Another Illinoisan leaves every 9 minutes and 21 seconds. By comparison, the flat income tax at 4.95% is one of the only things that Illinois does right. It ranks 13th best in the nation, is predictable, transparent, and honest. Everyone pays the same rate, so politicians can't quietly stick it to one group while flattening another. That is precisely why the progressive tax advocates hate it. It forces lawmakers to own their tax hikes. And come election time, voters remember. Look, Illinois doesn't need another tax scheme, another constitutional amendment, another attempt to dress up a cash grab as fairness. The voters saw through it in 2020, and the reasons for rejection are stronger today. If lawmakers truly want to protect Illinois' future, they should reject this recycled progressive tax scheme. Protect retirees. Use the flat tax and lack of a retirement tax as actual selling points for Illinois. And most importantly, address the real disease, runaway spending. Because unless Springfield learns to say no to itself, no tax system, flat, progressive, or otherwise, will ever be enough. And the people of Illinois are tired of being the ATM for a government that refuses to budget like the families it represents.